All right, guys, welcome to the Chokehold Chat. We're going to be talking about the upcoming fights, UFC Perth. It's a fight night, so, the card is kind of taking some damage just off the bat. The UFC saving all their stars for numbered events and stuff. And, UFC Perth is kind of, it's basically like a regional show, kind of. Barring like the main event, Olberg versus Reyes, it's basically a showcase for, Australian fighters. A lot of the undercard is just filled with Australian fighters and kind of people that they're, giving matchups that are definitely winnable, So from I'll just go through some of the fights that are kind of on the undercard, but, it'll be something to kind of put on and give you something to do on a Saturday. I kind of wish that they would have just, put it at a different time. I think they make them fight in the morning over there just so that we can watch it at 7 p.m. over here, and it's just like, okay, well, 7 p.m. I want to be watching, basically like a regional fight card from Perth, but yeah, anyways, so the prelims, they got that guy Colby Thickness, who is Volk's training partner, who lost before to Ilya's brother. So, giving him another shot. That's nice to see. Jamie Malarkey, haven't seen him in a long time. I hope he does well. My man Oban Elliott, great story. Like Oban a lot. He kind of got a tough matchup in that Jonathan. We just watched him beat up Kevin Jousset, so that's a tough matchup for Oban, but definitely winnable. We'll see what happens. It's kind of 50-50. Andre Petrosky, I like him. I watched that season of The Ultimate Fighter. I actually watched it with my wife, and it was, gave us something to do. It was nice, but I do like him. I hope he does well and can get a win. That show really does do what it's supposed to do when you're actually involved in it, right? They get you invested in the fighters. That's kind of something that's missing from the UFC right now. I also, I wish PFL would do that. Like the UFC, I watch the countdowns, I watch the embeddeds, I watch just like whatever they put out, really. And the PFL doesn't really do that. They don't. And it's kind of few and far between. It's kind of hard to understand. It's like back when I became a fan of the UFC, when they were doing like Spike TV stuff, and Spike TV would play basically like old fights, like fights that had already happened, but they would do a really good job with like the video package of like them training and kind of letting you know what's on the line and what had happened before and kind of what happens after, and then they show the fight, and it's like, they're building a storyline. Like PFL, they don't really build storylines. It's not very good at doing that. The UFC hasn't been doing that as well lately, but I think it's just because the fan is more educated. I think if you want to expand and you want to just give your fans like a better product, they should, go back to doing some of that stuff. Like this UFC Perth stuff, it's Tuesday, and I follow the UFC on YouTube. I'm an active fan, and I really haven't seen anything. So anyways, sorry about my rant there, but the featured kind of headline of the prelims is that guy Navajo Sterling, a training partner of Adesanya, and he's going against Rodolfo Bellato. Bellato just flopped from Paul Craig, faking that he was knocked out with an up kick, and they had that weird no contest, and so I'm actually surprised that Bellato's even still a part of the UFC. It kind of makes sense that they're going to give him Navajo Sterling because they want to build him off. I bet you if Navajo can go out there, or Sterling can go out there and knock him out, or just beat him up real bad, they'll probably cut him. But maybe not. You don't know. The light heavyweight division's pretty sparse. So Yeah, and then the next fight that I want to talk about, Jake Matthews versus Neil Magny. You know, we'll kind of see what happens there. Both those guys are kind of journeymen. Jake Matthews is really fun to watch sometimes. So I do like Jake Matthews. He's also just been around forever, so I've been watching him fight forever. It's the same thing with Neil Magny. I've been watching him fight for forever, so I will watch it, but, you know, no implications. Just kind of, yeah, Jake Matthews, he's an Australian guy. Just throw him on the card. And then Jimmy Crute versus Urslan. Urslan is coming off of 2 losses. So they're giving Jimmy Crute like a favorable matchup, but also too, like, Jimmy Crute, he just got a win after being winless for a really, really long time. So it is kind of, you just don't know where Jimmy Crute is at. He was talking about like retiring and just like, he stepped away from the sport and all that stuff. So you just don't know where he's at. But Urslan, on the other hand, he lost to Sterling and he lost to Kutsalaba. So, both decisions, he's not getting finished or anything, but yeah, we'll kind of see where Jimmy Crute's at with this one. Maybe he can, get another win, get some momentum, because I remember before he lost to Jamal Hill, he had that loss to Anthony Smith, and I was like, okay, like, he dead-legged you and stuff, and a win is a win, but after he got knocked out by Jamal Hill, it kind of sent him spiraling, poor guy. But before that, I thought he was pretty decent. So I hope Jimmy Crute does get the win in Australia. Be good for him. Okay, so the only fight on this card that really has any implications on the title or rankings or just has like any weight to it at all is Olberg versus Reyes. And obviously they're trying to build Olberg a name against Dominic Reyes. They're trying to make him look like a superstar in Australia, beating an old veteran, an old title challenger. But the Carlos Olberg thing is real weird to me, because in a division like the light heavyweight division that's so just like, there's nothing going on in the light heavyweight division, and he's a striker, and they had a striker as a champion for a long time in Pereira. Like, it's weird that he's been in the UFC for so long, and like that he hasn't like got pushed very far, he's been in the UFC since 2021, and I think he's got like 7 wins like in the light heavyweight division, but like 5 or 6 of those wins are really wins that are just kind of over I hate to be disrespectful, but just like guys that aren't household names, right? The main wins that he's got is Ihor Potieria, who's not really a name himself yet, and then Volkan Ozdemir, who was a name of the past, and Jan Blachowicz, So it's kind of weird. Like, it just seems like in a division where you only need like 1 or 2, not even 1 or 2, but 2 or 3 wins, 4 max to get to a title, like big wins, and you can like jump rankings very fast. It's weird that he's taken this build-up, like this kind of Paddy Pimblett build-up at light heavyweight, considering like the state of the division, I do think that Olberg could probably get this done against Reyes, but Reyes is definitely a wild card. This is definitely Olberg's fight to lose. Dominic Reyes looked good in his last fight, and I want to see him do well. I do like him. He's a cool guy. Seems like a nice guy on all the podcasts and stuff, and I really do think that fight with John Jones was razor thin, Robbed, I don't know about robbed. It was very close, so, there's got to be a winner or a loser, but I could have saw if they would have gave it to him. But anyways, those are my thoughts on UFC Perth beforehand. We'll see if I'll make a video on the weigh-ins, or if there's some news that comes out that I'll give you guys an update or something. I'll talk about it. But, yep, that's my thoughts before UFC Perth. I'll talk to you guys later. Have a good week. Bye.